Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Bethesda Sabbath Fellowship. We're no longer meeting at the 1631 building, but I had a good meeting last week, so we'll see if that other tenant or landlord would sublease to us and allow us to be able to meet on Sabbath afternoon. So we'll see how that works out. Call first, of course, 612-315-6778. We do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence, what's going on in the world. We try not to be disparate. Today we're linking, and we might be disparate at times, but you know what? It's still worth looking at the scriptures and looking at what's going on in your world. We're Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. The colorization of evil. I'm submitting that you're seeing some figurines, some icons popping up in the world, and they're colorized. And I want to link it. Some friends have been helping me to link, and I'm trying to link it to colors and bright colors and plasmas and things like that. And I think it matters. I think it matters as things move forward. So what you're seeing is this dracon in the Greek, in New York. And it's interesting how it's multicolored and things like that. Then you're seeing something similar to this at the UN. Now, the New York one, downtown New York, is Revelation 12, where you have the dragon. But then this beast-like creature could be Daniel 7 or Revelation 13. It could be either one. And I want to link it into the Magic 8 Ball, and I want to link it into Ouija boards and other wicked things like that, because I think you're going to see a preponderance of these types of things going forward. And you're going to see colorful demonic activities. And this is kind of a sign of, I believe, Babylon. We'll see. We'll see if I can link it and prove it. The other thing is somebody just drove into the Walmart parking lot the other day here. I'm not sure which Walmart it was, and said, look at this thing. And so it's becoming more prevalent. You're noticing more Revelation symbols. So this is the lady riding the beast, which is going to be, well, it's mostly Revelation 17 and 18. She's the whore of Babylon. So the other thing that I want to link into all of this is the psychedelic urges right now. I mean, this is the craze with Joe Rogan and other people like that, where they go down to South America, they hit the ayahuasca, they see the DMT elves. Yes, they're seeing little elves, and it's really weird. And so I want to warn people about that, but I want to mention the colors of this, that it's all linked together in the pharmakia. So, and it's very satanic. The whole way through, the whole video links things together in those ways. Now, personally, I want to share with you that back in 2006, 2007, I was attacked, and my son was too, by demons. Now, I was married to a woman that had one affair. Then she came back with a second affair, and she was still married to me and having the affair with the other man, and he was a very wicked man. And so during this time frame, I was pulverized like a non-believer. Believe it or not, I know my Bible very, very well. I have a deep faith in Yeshua, but it didn't matter because I didn't know spiritual warfare. So I was pummeled. And so on this time frame of the summer of 2006, I looked up in bed and I saw a plasma. I mean, it was as bright as possible, and it looked like this figure, which is oh goodness, why am I blanking on it? Drac from, so his name is Drac from Space Ghost, and it looked like him, and energy was pouring off him, and so it was called sleep paralysis. And according to this David Rico fellow, in Tibetan rituals, dancers wear masks of demon faces, and they dance as if they were demons. They believe that in this shadow dance, they transform the dark forces into benevolent and beneficent, cheerful spirits. This is acknowledging and trusting that everything has two sides. And no, it's no, it's the same thing as Babylon. But I'm saying that this is what happened to me, and it happened for about 10 to 15 minutes back in 2006, and then it came back and attacked my son the whole time until 2007, where we had a horrible car crash. And these attacks are going to occur during the end of days. There's going to be a lot of these types of people. So once again, I had this face in front of me as it was basically pretending that I was a female and making love with me, or not love, in this case it was just sex. But this is how bright and visual it was to me. It was rather explosive. It lasted for 10 to 15 minutes, and it was a sleep paralysis thing. So I want to talk about that today in terms of Bible prophecy, and not twisting the Bible, not giving you fake prophecy, and giving you the news in terms of what's going on out there. So that's what we're doing. And so, two of the friends that I have that helped me to kind of figure this out a little bit is Doug Hamp, who studies the Nephilim, and he writes the books of Corrupting the Image 1, 2, and 3. And he studies all of these things. And then John Haller, who has been talking about this too, he's been citing these odd figurines that are popping up across the world. So, if you're looking for a great book on this, Doug Hamp is excellent for this. If you're looking for videos each week that explain what's going on, John Haller's the best. So Doug studies things like Satan and the Great Dragon and Leel, Ushma, Ushumgalu and Bashmu, and chapters 1 through 4, Corrupting the Image 2, Hybrids, Hades, and Mount Hermon Connection by Douglas Hamp. So, check those guys out. I'm just telling you, these are my ideas on what's going on. And so I'm thinking that we're linking evil with buildings and objects. So imagine that something is cursed, like that figurine to the left there that I can't even describe, and I won't even say the name. And the Tower of Babel, whatever it looked like, and other things that went on, say, in Denver in 2008, with the Babylonian hell that occurred there. Did those items move and change positions to other locations and bring their curses with them? I believe that's the case, and I believe that's occurring now in Berlin, Germany, in New York City, and other places across the world where these cursed items are showing up. So the other thing that occurred was my poor son was attacked by a demon after our car crash, an odd car crash, on March 4th of 2007. And so this particular demon that had been shadow dancing on his wall said, "We live in the light, we thrive in the dark, be around friends, and we won't come back." And that ruined my relationship with my son too, because these shadow dancing demons were probably tied to my wife's affair and her evil boyfriend, a very demonic man. And really, she was going, well, she was going from obsession towards possession. So I'm linking it to Babylon. I'm linking in colors and all of these weird things. I'm linking it, and we'll see if you agree with me or not. So a couple of rules about demons, just so you're aware, not of all the rules, but some of them. And this has been researched by Malachi Martin in his book Hostage to the Devil. Should demons wear masks? They do. Obsession comes first, then possession, sometimes, but it comes afterwards. Curses are multi-generational. Demons have names. They have types and levels of authority. If you clean your house and fill your house with Yeshua, the demons won't return, but if you don't do those things, the demons will return sevenfold. Cursed objects transfer curses when moved, and we'll see that in the Bible in just a moment here. And homes and buildings may contain curses. If you want to fight back, remember Psalm 91. That's your warfare psalm. It's wonderful for that. So this is the verse from, or the verses from the Bible in terms of Rachel is leaving her father Lavan with Jacob and Leah and the boys, and they're running out, and she's hiding the teraphim, the household gods, and no one would really understand what these skulls are for, what they're intended for. At that time they were dug up. It was speculated that they were probably tied to ancestor worship. No, they were tied to what I'm going to quote you, which is Jasher 31. Rachel stole her father's images. She took them and concealed them upon the camel upon which she sat, and she went on. And this is the manner of the images: in taking a man who is firstborn and slaying him, and taking the hair off his head, and taking salt and salt in the head, and anointing it with oil, and then taking a small tablet of copper or a tablet of gold, and writing the name upon it, and placing the tablet under the tongue, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue, and putting it in the house, and lighting up lights before it, and bowing down to it. And at that time, when they bow down to it, it speaks to them in all matters that they ask of it, through the power of the name which is written in it. And some of them in figures of men, of gold and silver, and go to them in times known to them. And the figures receive the influence of the stars and tell them future things. And in this manner were the images which Rachel stole from her father. And Rachel stole these images, these teraphim, which were her father's, in order that Lavan might not know through them where Jacob had gone. So obviously there's a power in them, in these household gods, the teraphim. And most of the modern people don't understand it, but this is the book of Jasher, which you can get. Ken Johnson translated it. It's very interesting to see that the curses follow. with the objects, and that they message, and the Ouija board's message, and the magic 8 ball messages, because they're all demonically possessed. And so I want you to be aware of those types of things that the curses are following to these serpents, say, or to these beasts that are sitting at the UN, things like that. There are curses attached to them. There are curses attached to this. So this is the goddess Kali, who was imprinted on the Empire State Building back in 2015. Why Kali? Because she's the goddess of death. And New York has a death curse. And we've had horrible deaths in New York since then. So, when you take that curse upon you, you wonder why you have horrible death numbers coming from New York, especially in 2019, 2020, or 2020 rather, and 2021. Horrible numbers coming out of New York. So you are to have no other gods before me. You are not to make yourselves a carved image of any kind of representation of anything in heaven above or in the earth beneath or the water beneath the shoreline. You are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I, Adonai, your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but displaying grace to the thousands generations of those who love me and obey my mitzvot. Exodus 20:3-6 from the Ten Commandments. So keep in mind, we don't want these curses, and they do transfer. So I'm arguing in this case that the first seat of Satan and some of the artifacts came from Babylon, went to Asia Minor, Pergamos, and then on to Berlin. And so you can see the temple of Trajan, Caesar, and Artemis and Zeus here, and they have that look and style to them. And you can see down below a better picture of the seat of Satan there. And then you can see that seat of Satan was moved during about the same time that Hitler was born, conceived, back in the 1800s. Then it was set up for 1900 for the seat of Satan in Berlin on Museum Island, and then it fomented World War I demonically, fomented World War II demonically with Hitler, and then he created Nuremberg to look like this. And then Denver, Obama, in 2008 set up the same thing, that horrible seat of Satan look in Denver as he became the God of all things, and he was like Messiah-like. I'm arguing that he's invoking the wickedness of Nimrod and Semiramis at this point in time, or Tammuz too, that he wants to be the Nimrod of our days, and he still runs the world to this day. I mean, he's the man behind the throne of Biden. So once again, this dragon in New York, the great dragon was thrown out to the earth in Revelation 12:9. This was just erected, this dragon, outside of Rockefeller Center in New York. It's the first mixed beast animal. So first came the mixed beast animal in front of the UN, and now this. And the dragon was thrown out, the ancient serpent, the Nakash. That's from Genesis 3. The Nakash there is the serpent. And known as the devil and Satan, the adversary, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled down to the earth, and his angels were hurled down with him. That's future for us. But I want you to be able to see how the verses apply to it and the colors apply. And then I want you to see the link to Babylon too, because Babylon was probably colorized. Especially, you can see the link to that figurine on the lower left-hand side of Babylon there. Lower to there's the woman next to him, but you can see the colors, the similarity between the two, and the curses for that matter. So once again, the winged lion or the winged beast of some sort at the UN headquarters. Why? This is from Israel 365. I'm assuming, it's from David Sidman. Okay, it's not from Adam. That's fine. A statue with biblical implications has been erected recently outside the United Nations headquarters. It's called the Guardian of International Peace and Security. That's a laugh. And then the people that put this together from Oaxaca, Mexico, are Jacob and Mary Angelos. So it's Jacob and Mary angels. It's a fusion of a jaguar and an eagle. Go figure that. I mean, this is a symbol, and I believe it's a curse, and I believe it's tied to Babylon. So here's Daniel 7:4. First was like a lion, but had eagle's wings, and the dream featured 4 beasts: a lion with wings, a bear with fangs, and a 4-winged leopard. The 4th beast had 10 horns. So that's from Daniel. So just keep in mind that seems to be what's going on in terms of the symbolism of these beasts popping up across the world and the curses attached to them. So, and the colors too. I think the colors match up with Babylon. So this is from Michael Snyder from the Most Important News. The UN just put up the giant statue. And once again, peace and security. He's linking it to Revelation again too. And so it looks like a manticore. And it's just interesting. You know, you could argue that it looks more like a lion than a jaguar. And then behind it is a green horseman. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't write this thing weirder than that. Yeah, what's behind him? One of the horsemen. So I'm arguing Babylon again, and then the horseman of Revelation chapter 6. Just very weird. So here's the fourth horseman of Revelation, that figure that's just behind that jaguar. And he opened the fourth seal, and I saw the fourth living creature come out, call out, saying, "Come." And I looked, and there was a pale green horse representing death, and his rider's name was Death. And that seems to be where we are right now. So it's interesting that that jaguar was placed next to the horseman, and we seem to be at that death phase in the world right now, where the world leaders are just madly in love with death. So what I'm trying to do then is link this together with Babylon. And I'm saying that Babylon is not bland and black and white. Babylon was probably very, very colorful. So I'm trying to show you colorful pictures, show you these man-beast combinations that seem to match up. I'm saying that it's demonic, it's psychedelic. There seems to be a link. Their artwork and figurines, I think, were colored. I think everything was brightly beautiful, and I think that's demonic. So it was not. Now, I want you to see Ninurta, which is from ancient Babylon. She's on the lower left, and she's riding on a beast there, so she's a lady. But then the other figurines are kind of man and beast and combinations, and there's the scorpion's tail on the right-hand side there. Just very, very interesting, but I think you have to visualize it in color. So I'm arguing that this is what you should look at. You should see the bright colors of Babylon. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that the word Nakash, which is serpent from Genesis 3, and then it moves on through the Bible, could mean snake, serpent, dragon, shiny thing, or illuminated. It could mean a lot of different things. And so, yes, it might be a snake, but it might be a shiny snake. And so I think these multiple colors and this kaleidoscope effect, this rainbow colored gods, things like that, might apply. A very shiny, kaleidoscopic type of a creature. So I'm seeing that's the connection for me to Babylon and throughout history is the colors, and especially from what I happen to experience in my sleep paralysis. Once again, the colors of Babylon, very colorful, very beautiful, and very ornate. And so I think that that's how we should view these hybrids and these curses. Once again, this is a manticore, and the manticore seems to have a man's face, and then it's a beast of some sort with a scorpion-type tail. And this started out in Babylon, then moved its way into Greece and other places like that. And even Harry Potter talks about manticores. So the ancient Sumerian old school tattoo collection with Mesopotamian goddess Ishtar and Lamassu and cuneiform writing Ziggurat Assyrian. It's just notes on the manticore that it seems to be the body of a lion, the face of a man, the spike-tipped arrow-shooting tail, which is scorpion-like, all these weird things that seem to pass through to today. And the UN and others are bringing these curses forward from Babylon through Greece. So basically, I'm saying it's a representation. I'm not stating that it's the actual animal in these cases, but some of the curses of Babylon are flowing through in these representative animals. Okay, so the beast represents all the kingdoms that subjected the nation of Israel. The lion with wings represents Babylon. The bear represents Persia, Medo Persia. The four-winged leopard represents Greece. And the final, most treacherous one of them all is Rome, and that is the beast. And so whether it's one specific beast or it's multiple beasts across the world, it does represent the beast of the end times. And we don't know exactly what that beast is from Daniel 7. So But we do know that Yeshua does return, and there it is, Daniel 7:13 through 14, that at some point in time he will be returning. So having a statue representing biblical Persia in the UN headquarters can be an ominous sign, as the world powers have recently re-engaged with Iran, modern-day Persia, to renegotiate a potential solution to their apocalyptic nuclear ambitions. So keep in mind, Persia, Iran, and the representations match up all the way back with the colors and the curses and everything like that. So Satan loves to scare us, but I want to show you the colors of the manticore on the right, and then Satan eating people on the left. And just to show you that it's not black and white, I think the colors pass all the way through. Then we're on to the next topic, which is that weird DMT stuff, which is what all the wealthy people are doing now. So I was just noticing that Megan, I can't remember her last name, Fox, and her new boyfriend, husband, whatever, some Machine Gun Kelly kid, went down, and she's got kids too. They went down to South America, they took the drugs, and they hallucinated. Oh, that's exciting. That's really good for your kids too. Not. Really stupid. So this guy, Dr. Rick Strassman, did research funded by our government into DMT and into ayahuasca, and trying to figure out how it could help your mind. And then many reported convincing encounters with intelligent non-human presences, which included aliens and angels and spirits, and then also really weird elves, really weird little elves, which remind me of, I don't know, little aliens, we could call them. They had birth and death experiences. They had meditation and even sexual transcendence, alien abduction experiences. It's not healthy, people, but that seems to be where we're going right now. It's pharmakia. It's from Revelation chapter, I want to say 19, 20, 21. So the most common search thing right now on the Bible Gateway is pharmakia, or sorcery. And so that's the employment of drugs for any purpose, sorcery, magic, enchantment. And so Jesus healed the sick with his hands and with prayer. He would have never turned to pharmakia, sorcerers, and overlooking his father's results. So that's Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, who I think is wonderful. Satan loves pharmakia. So just keep that in mind. Satan just loves, loves, loves this stuff. So it's interesting that people are noticing it and searching for it right now. They're trying to figure out, is this biblical or not? Yes, I think these things are biblical. Now we're going to move on to one other topic that matches up with this, which is the Nakash word from the Bible. So we're going to look at the blessing of Dan, where Yaakov, Jacob, blesses Dan in Genesis 49, and look down on the lower left-hand side where the little purple-pink arrow is. Dan will provide justice for his people, a snake by the roadside, a viper along the path. Why in the world, when Jacob called together his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you which shall befall you in the Acharith HaYumim, which is the last days, why would he then say to Dan, you will be a snake and a viper? I don't understand that. But we'll discuss that because it does fit into what we're talking about today. So Nakash again could mean snake, serpent, dragon, shiny, illuminated. The Nakash was more arum. That's a word like naked, but cunning, crafty, wily, than any beast of the earth which God had made. And he said unto the woman, really, hath God said, you shall not eat of the kol eitz of, so the tree in the garden, from any tree of the garden? Well, and so now we're going to move that forward so you can see Nakash there, where it could mean serpent, but it could mean shiny, illuminated. It could mean hallucinogenic almost in terms of the colors. So who knows what Adam and Eve looked at when they saw the Nakash. Dan shall judge his people. One of the tribes of Israel, Dan shall be a Nakash. And that in the Greek would be ophis, and I'll show you that in just a moment what that means. Beside the derrick, a viper, and that's the shafifon. I don't know that word, and I can't find it very often, and I can't find it in the Greek at all. Along the orc, the path, and that biteth at the uvke, ukve, sus, the horse's heels, so that the rider shall fall backward. And I have waited for thy Yeshua salvation, Hashem. That's Genesis 49:16 through 18. That's the blessing for Dan. This is an end times blessing, where Dan shall judge, and he shall be a serpent along the way, a viper along the path. Go figure, you know? And so I'm arguing that it's kind of psychedelic there, especially when you see the word Nakash. So now we're going to move forward into Revelation, see how it's used there. Revelation 12:13 through 15 says, and when the dragon, the Nakash in this case, but he's arguing that it's Nakash, but it's really Dracon, okay, saw that he was thrown down to the earth. He brought persecution on the woman who gave birth to the Zakar, to her child, and 2 wings of the Nesher Hagadol, that's the great eagle, were given to the Isha that she might fly, so to the woman, that she might fly to her place in the desert, the Bamidbar, where she is nourished there for a time and times and half a time, 3.5 years, away from the presence of the Nakash, the serpent. Okay, so in this case, the first Nakash was dragon, and the second Nakash was serpent, which is Ophis. And the Nakash spewed water after the woman from its mouth as a river, that he might make her carried away by a river. That's Revelation 12:13 through 15. And then on the right-hand side, I'm showing you how throughout Revelation, the serpent is described 2 different ways, as a serpent, Ophis in the Greek, and I should have done that in light blue to make it Greek. But anyway, then the Dracon, the dragon, is multiple times everywhere. So Satan is described 2 different ways, as a serpent or a dragon. And I see both of those in as Dan is receiving his blessing. So it's just interesting how he's described these different ways. So we haven't solved anything today other than we noticed that the colors seem to be symbolic and meaningful, and the titles seem to be interesting in terms of Satan having 2 titles, dragon and serpent. So the birth pangs are going on right now. The tribulation will start at some point in time. We'll get to the Great Tribulation later on. You need to have clean garments. You need to know how to fight. And I'm arguing based on my own personal attacks that came from whatever demons, that you can lead a clean life and you can be married to somebody that's horrible. And that's where those attacks come in. So just be aware of that. They can come in through family. They can come in through friends. Be on your guard, people, as things move forward. So be blessed. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.